Perfect. Welcome, everybody. My name is Nikki Taylor Vargo. I'm the Assistant Dean of non-JD programs here at the law school at Wayne State University. Thanks for taking time out of your day to join us. I'm not alone today. We have others with us, but before I let them introduce themselves, I just want to briefly go over our agenda for the day, and then we'll get going. So today we are going to cover, talk about your desire to want to study law and what the advantages and benefits are of a minor in law, specific to the business school. We'll talk about the minor in law requirements, your next steps, and then we have some current business students here who have declared the minor in law who are going to answer any questions that you might have from their perspective. So with that being said, I do want to hand it over to Professor Lance Gable. He is our faculty director, so he can go ahead and introduce himself.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all having a good day. I'm Lance Gable. I am a professor here at the law school here at Wayne State, and I'm also the faculty director of the minor in law program. I also frequently teach one of the courses in the program. I'll be talking about that a little bit later on, but just looking forward to talking with all of you today.
Perfect, thank you. And Ryan?
Hi, everyone. My name is Ryan Doss. I work with our non-JD program. I actually got my undergraduate degree here at Wayne State. I'm still a little bit salty that this program was not around when I was an undergrad. However, I'm so excited that you guys have the opportunity to participate. So welcome.
Thank you, Ryan. And then I'd like to welcome Brandy Walthall Johnson, who is here with us from the business school. Brandy?
Hi, everyone. My name is Brandy Walthall Johnson. I'm one of the academic advisors in the Mike School of Business. I normally work with mostly management, marketing, and GSC students, but definitely able to help any of our business students. And I'm here representing the Business College in regards to the minor in law.
Perfect. Thank you for joining us. So I would encourage any of you who feel comfortable and you'd like to go ahead and turn your cameras on. We love to see your faces and interact with you. If not, that's okay as well. We're going to take different opportunities to talk to you about the program. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to use that raise hand function, and we can pause for a moment. And I'll even probably stop throughout the presentation just to check to see if we have any questions. And you can also put them in the chat and we'll be answering them from there. So I'm going to turn it over to Ryan, who's going to lead us in our next activity. Ryan.
Now that we've gotten the chance to you've gotten the chance to get to know us a little better, we want to get the chance to know you a little better. So if you feel a little bit comfortable, please unmute yourself and share with us your name, your year, your major, what brings you here today, and why are you interested in the minor in law. I am asking that our two panelists hold off on their introductions until our Q&A section. So with that being said, is there anyone that would like to volunteer to go first?
Yeah, I can go first.
Thank you.
All right, my name is Mary. I'm in my sophomore year and my major is business administration. I'm here today because why I'm interested, I guess, both of them. I'm really interested in law and I always have been, but lately I've been wanting to do human resources. So I just wanted to get familiar with like both sides of the coin and just kind of see what I could do with both of those things in my future.
Thank you for going first. I have Devontae. Did you have a question, Devontae, or did you want to go next? Let's see your hand straight. Okay. Is there anyone that would like to go next?
Oh, come on, everybody.
I'm Malcolm Hazel. I'm in my senior year. I started my degree back in 2004, so it's been a while. Just trying to finish it up, and I'm interested in going into law. I want to change careers.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. Okay, so while we wait for more volunteers to come to the table, I'm going to share with you, actually this is relevant because I happen to be over in your new building before the pandemic recruiting for the minor in law. And I had an information table there, and Ryan's heard the story, so has Professor Gable many times, but and while I was there, I had a woman come up to me who was majoring in business and, wanted to learn more about the minor in law. When I asked her what, kind of prompted her to come over to the table and to learn more about it, her answer to me was that her neighbor apparently felt like he could walk up and down her driveway at any time, and she wanted to know what her rights were. So there are plenty of different reasons why people want to learn more about the law. So is there anybody else that would like to come off of mute and just introduce yourself really quickly? No?
Can I go?
Absolutely, please.
My name is Janata Firdaus, and this is my freshman year. At first, I signed up for my major as political science as I was interested in the law. However, I realized I changed my major to business administration, and I still wanted to further continue law or be interested in the field. That's why I want to do minor in law and find out more about it.
Perfect, thank you. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
My mic is actually working now. This is Devontae. I had to change my privacy settings on my phone. But my name is Devontae Stewart. I'm in my senior year. My major is marketing, and basically what brings me here is I just think that I'm gonna be interested in being basically a business lawyer. My friend is a business lawyer, and he's kind of inspired me to kind of go into this route. So just kind of here to see what the opportunities are and see if I can get that going.
Go ahead, Ryan. Did you have anything else for the introduction?
When did anyone else want to share or feel comfortable sharing before we move forward?
I can share.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Danjanae Stewart, and this is my junior year. I'm an accounting major, and I'm taking a business law class currently, and I found what I was learning in that class to be interesting, so I wanted to expand my education on it, so that's why I'm here.
Thank you for coming. Did we have anyone else that would like to share, or has everyone gone?
I just wanted to add that I'm also taking a business law class right now, which kind of prompted this as well, because I'm really interested in the material. So
Very good. Well, why don't we go ahead and move forward then, Ryan? Is that okay?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you everyone for sharing their responses, and welcome, and let's turn it back over to James.
Perfect. So I started a little bit earlier in talking about the reasons that we want to study law, and I really like to kind of have this interaction with people that are here on the call. So obviously, one of the reasons that you want to learn more about the law is just to have a better understanding, right? Because it does affect us in many parts of our life, especially in the last couple of years in regards to the pandemic and how that has affected us and what our rights are and things of that nature. Can anybody else give me some other reasons why you might have a desire to study law? Nobody wants to make more money? I see some laughing. Okay, how about the prestige of saying that, hey, I'm a lawyer, right? We all know those could be reasons, right? But there are some other reasons as well here. And as soon as I get my my mouse under control, it can be intellectually challenging, right? And those of you who are in your business law class right now, understanding, how the law came about, what are the statutes, how do you change the law, interpreting the law, right? Because we don't all interpret the law the same way. That's something that I learned when I got into law. Actually, I sat in on Professor Gable's class and learned very quickly, law is not just black and white, right? There's a lot of different interpretation that goes with that. As I mentioned earlier, it can be financially rewarding after you pay off those loans. Certainly growth and opportunity for you. Even if you don't ultimately go on to law school, right? Just having that law background in entering into a job. Mary, was it you that said you were interested in HR?
Yep, that was me.
Okay, yep. So when you think about HR, you know, if you have a minor in law and you go out there to get an entry-level job, you're going to be looking very attractive to a potential employer, because not only are you going to have the business aspect, you know, organizational behavior, HR in particular, you're going to understand how law intersects with HR, right? And you'll have that background. And I mentioned earlier, prestige and credibility. It's certainly a dynamic environment with diverse perspectives. I mentioned that earlier. That's one of the things I think is so amazing, is that, you know, why is it that we might interpret the law differently? And it can be based on many factors, right? It could be based on your background, your experiences in life. It can certainly be personally fulfilling. And some of the biggest reasons is, number one, knowing about the law will help you in regards to going about how to change the law, right? Like if there's a law that you think is, you know, like if I said, you can't eat chicken on Sundays, and you say, you know what, Nikki, that's just absolutely ridiculous. You know, you want to understand, you know, well, how did you come up with that law to begin with, you know, and what purpose is it serving, that kind of a thing. You know, having an understanding of it will help you be able to change it. And then last, and certainly not least, and this is a huge one that a lot of people typically come to, is they want to advocate to help others and also for yourself. Okay. Anybody think of any other reasons that we might not have talked about?
Getting out of tickets.
That is the first time I have heard that one, but I think it falls under advocate for yourself. And I love it. Perfect. Okay, I want to turn it over to Professor Gable, who's going to talk to you about the advantages of a minor.
Well, thank you. And I think this kind of builds on what we were just talking about. There are a number of good reasons to think about taking the courses and enrolling in the program for the minor in law. And I wanted to kind of break it down into three broad categories of some of the advantages that this program offers. So one of the first things that we realized when we were originally designing this program was it was a great opportunity to really build on the intersection between law and so many other different disciplines that people are learning in their undergraduate degrees. And so, you know, specifically with regard to students who are enrolled in majors in the School of Business, there are so many areas where law overlaps with different business specialties. And so the things that you're studying in your business courses and that you're already preparing for and learning through those courses is going to have a lot of connection to the kind of material that you're going to be learning in the law courses. And so we feel like the minor in law really creates this whole other dimension to your education that gives you hopefully broader perspective, greater understanding, just a good idea of how the fields that you're already learning about intersect with law and how law really frames and intersects with and creates a framework upon which a lot of these fields sit. And so it's a real expansion of your education in a way that is already connected to it in ways that you might not have realized before taking these kinds of courses. And so that's what we really want students to get out of this collaboration and this partnership, kind of an interdisciplinary understanding of how fields overlap and influence each other. The second category, this is what we sometimes over here at the law school refer to as learning to think like a lawyer. The way we've designed our law courses in this program is to expose you not only to legal materials, and you will be exposed to legal materials, cases, statutes, other kinds of legal scholarship and articles, but the goal of the courses is not only to expose you to those materials, but also to expose you to some of the skill sets and approaches to learning that we teach here at the law school here at Wayne State. And so that involves a lot of critical thinking skills, use of logic and analysis, reading comprehension skills, also a lot of oral and written communication skills. And so for students who are interested in going to law school down the road, this will be a bit of a window into what it's like to be in a law class. And so you'll kind of get some experience of that. Although with in sort of a less stressful potentially environment that you would see in a first year of law school, but it's also an opportunity to really learn some of the basic underlying information that you would get in some different areas of law, and to have a bit of a foundation of knowledge in law itself while being exposed to these different skill sets. Now, the third category here, I think, is also really important. So, and this is something that Dean Taylor Vargo mentioned a few minutes ago. Because this is a fairly unique program, very few schools have programs like this where you get to take law courses with law faculty as undergraduates. This allows you to take all of that education, all of that knowledge, all of those new skill sets, and then apply those to whatever you do down the road. And whether it's applying to law school because you want to get more legal education and become a lawyer in the future, or whether it's you're just going into other fields, in different areas of business, in HR, in other kinds of specialties that might build on your business degree. Having this law minor gives you kind of a leg up on the competition, in the sense that you're going to have a whole other knowledge base that a lot of undergraduate students really don't have. And I think that's a real advantage to students coming through this program. And it'll help you get those opportunities in the first place, but it'll also help you perform well in those jobs because you'll have this additional education. And, so as I mentioned, the thing that really sets this degree apart from a lot of other degrees is that we do have courses in this program that are taught by our law faculty here at Wayne State. And that's something that other similar programs really don't have. We're the only school in the Midwest that has a minor in law, and one of very few who have courses like this that are taught by law faculty at the undergraduate level.
Thank you, Professor Gable. I just wanted to build on that before we move into the next part about the advantages and specific to a business major. And that is, for those of you who mentioned that you wanted to go to law school, we just want to make sure that you understand that obtaining a minor in law is not an automatic acceptance into law school, right? But it can do several things for you. Number one, for those of you who are interested, it gives you an opportunity to get your feet wet, right? If you're not sure about whether you want to go into law school or just don't know what to expect, taking one of the LEX courses that's part of this minor will give you a good flavor into that. Secondly, it will help you start building that law toolbox. So you'll start to learn the terminology and understand those terms. You'll really get a foundation of law from a 30,000 foot level view, right? And then when you're in law school, you'll take a deeper dive into many of those subject areas. And last but certainly not least, I'm curious, for those of you who are thinking about going to law school, can you think of the last and maybe the most important advantage if you're thinking about law school?
Like already getting familiar with the faculty.
What's that?
Already getting familiar with the faculty.
Absolutely. And why is that a good thing?
I mean, it's always good to make connections with the people you're going to be learning from.
Absolutely. And in this case, those faculty can be great resources when you're applying to law school, right? Because you need to have references. So they make good references. Professor Gable is mentioned on more than one occasion how many reference letters he has written so far, and our minor in law program is still fairly new, going into our third year here. So that's, I think, one of the biggest advantages. So, okay, perfect. All right. Now, the benefits of a minor in law through the School of Business. So let's talk about the different types of issues in business that you could potentially come up upon where knowing more about the law would be helpful to you. So I already mentioned earlier, we talked about employment contracts and benefits, right? A disgruntled employee, you learn about discrimination, what you can do during an interview, what the process is for when you have to let an employee go, things of that nature. Business or entity information, partner and shareholder agreements, licensings and regulations, but even just structuring business transactions, right? I mean, I always said I have a business background, and you know, regardless of the industry, it all pertains to business, right? So even if you are an artist or a fashion designer, right, it's good for you to understand contracts and sales agreements and the terms and the conditions and things of that nature. Fraud and theft or lawsuits brought by dissatisfied customers, such as class actions. A big one is copyright and trademark, right? For those of you who are in marketing, that's really big. Taxation and even health and safety from an occupational standpoint. So it's best to handle legal issues that you run into. It's important you have exposure to several areas of the law, right? As I mentioned earlier, you know, employment law, contracts, trust and estates, corporations. One of you had indicated that you want to be a corporate lawyer, right? So understanding contracts, taxation, corporations, that's all in your wheelhouse. Bankruptcy and creditor rights. Again, you know, workers' compensation, dispute resolution, if you're working with unions and things of that nature, there are certainly things that you need to understand in regards to how they are structured. Just having comfortability with legal terminology and concepts will give any business person an edge in the professional environment that involve interaction with legal professionals or the legal system. So the other thing is, and we talked about this earlier about one of the reasons you might want to study law, is to give yourself credibility, right? So I think about that HR person who their job is to spot issues or potential issues before they actually happen, right? That makes you of value to that company. But there will be times where you have to interact with corporate counsel or maybe an outside entity. And it's going to be great when part of that interaction, they realize that, hey, Mary understands law. She understands this part of a contract, right? She's a credible individual. She knows what she's talking about. She can walk the walk and talk the talk. Okay, so that's the other benefit of having and knowing about law and how it intersects with your particular major, right? Is to give yourself some credibility. And then again, the different types of jobs that you could go for with the minor in law includes the, you know, the human resources. How about a compliance officer? Even an entrepreneur, as an entrepreneur, right? You need to understand the things that you're getting yourself into legally. Marketing, accounting, you can go on to law school and become a practicing attorney. Even real estate, right? I'm in the process right now of selling a home that I have, and I was just looking at the forms today going, oh, right? Some of them contain some legalese, so. Any questions so far before we move on to the requirements? I want to just pause for a moment and see if anybody has any questions. No? Okay, I'm going to turn them over to Brandy. Brandy from the law school is just going to talk to you about what the requirements are to get the minor in law through the law school. And then what the next, I believe I have that right. Let me hang on here. Brandy, are you up next? I believe you are.
I think it's Professor Gable.
No, okay. We're going to talk to Professor Gable then. My apologies. Yes, Professor Gable, you're going to be talking about the LEX courses specifically after we. So just to get started here, before Professor Gable talks about our LEX courses specifically, students who are interested in the minor in law, regardless of which college or school you obtain it through, you'll take 3 undergraduate law courses. In order to take those courses, you do have to have junior level standing or be in the latter half of your sophomore year. And undergraduate students who wish to take any of our LEX courses without declaring the minor are absolutely welcome to do so. If you happen to be, for example, a senior right now and you don't have enough time to finish the requirements for a minor, but you certainly have to take maybe 3 or 6 credits to meet your 120 credit hour requirement, you could take one of the LEX courses just to further your knowledge or get an experience about what a law school class might be like. Now I'm going to turn it over to Professor Gable, and he's going to talk to you specifically about the LEX courses.
Thank you. So I just want to take a minute or two to kind of go through and tell you a little bit about these 3 required law courses. And as I mentioned earlier, these are courses that you take at the law school. So they're taught by our law faculty here. And you don't have to take these in any particular order. You can take any of them first and second and third. But they all kind of fit together to create a foundation for understanding the legal system and some of its components. And so the first course is Lex 5000, which is called Law and Social Context. This is a course that is a good introduction to the structure of the legal system as a social institution. And it focuses primarily on kind of a really extended discussion about how property works, right? So what does it mean to own something? If you have ownership of something, what does that allow you to do with it? What does it permit you? What sort of rights does it give you over that thing that you own? And what are the limitations of those rights, and how that shapes a lot of our interactions with regard to ownership and property. And so that's the lens through which a lot of broader topics about the legal system are explored in that course. In the second course, Lex 5010, which is Law and Harm, this is the course that I often teach, and so I know a couple of the students who are going to be on the panel later have already taken that class from me, so they might be able to tell you more about that. But it's a course that looks at all the different ways that law can be used to respond to harm that's already occurred, or potentially to prevent harm that hasn't already occurred. And so we spend some time in the course talking about both the criminal law system and the tort law system. Torts are the system that allows people to file lawsuits, civil lawsuits against each other for allegations of harm. The criminal law system is obviously the state prosecuting people for violations of law. And those 2 systems are retrospective ways that the law deals with harm once it's happened, right? There's already some kind of harm or injury that's occurred, and the law has these mechanisms in place to deal with that. The law can also be used prospectively to try to stop harm from happening or to make harm less bad. And so in the course, we've talked, especially in the last couple of semesters, we've talked a lot about the response to the COVID-19 pandemic and how some of the legal authorities and rules that are in place at different levels of government allow the government to take steps to try to intervene, stop the spread of an infectious disease, what some of the limitations are on those powers. And so that's kind of the substance of the class. But the other thing I wanted to highlight is that in the class, we read a lot of cases, we talk about these different legal doctrines, and I try to do a little bit of the Socratic method, which is a pedagogical technique, an approach, a classroom approach that we often use in the law school, where students will sort of be on call, and I'll ask them questions about the cases that we've been reading and the issues that we've been discussing, and they have to respond to a series of questions about those different issues. And so for students who are thinking about law school, that's kind of, again, a good window into what a law school class might be like. So that's law and harm. And then the final course I'll talk about briefly is Lex 5020, which is legal procedure. That's a course that looks broadly at how procedural rules are really essential to the legal system and to our society more broadly. And in that course, you go through a case from beginning to end. You pay a lot of attention to the different procedural protections and requirements that are in place in a case. And so it allows students to really understand the importance of procedure and concepts like due process and other important foundations of our legal system. And so taken together, these 3 courses are a good overall grounding in a number of substantive legal issues, but they're also a good opportunity to learn a bunch of skills and to experience some classes in a different way than you may have already done in your other courses that you're taking at the university.
Thank you, Professor Gable. Now I'm going to turn it over to Brandy, who's going to talk to you specifically about what else you would be taking besides the 3 LEX courses.
Okay, so the law minor involves 6 classes and a total of 18 credit hours. You will need to take 3 classes in business and 3 classes in law. And then the nature of those classes depends on if you're a business or a non-business major. So for business majors, the law minor consists of 1 prerequisite business course, which is BLW 2510. And Mary, that's probably the class that you're currently in. That's a foundation course that's required for all of our business majors. And then you'll also take BLW 5190, which is business law 2, along with 2 approved business elective courses. For non-business majors, the law minor requires 3 business courses and 3 law courses. There's no prerequisite that's required for the non-business majors. So BLW 2510 is also the course that will be required along with 2 business elective courses. And the business elective courses can include taxation, IT security, sales management, employee relations. There's a long list of business elective courses that you can choose from, and allowing students to have a list of those business course options allows you to have, more flexibility and allow you to pursue areas that you are particularly interested in. And then the next slide, just more specifically, students in any major who have a 2.5 GPA are eligible to apply for a law minor. A minimum grade of C is required in all your law minor classes. And since the Michaelis School of Business requires the minimum amount of credit hours for you to receive your bachelor's degree. For those students, they can actually apply the minor in law classes towards elective credit hours, and it wouldn't extend your degree completion timeframe.
Thank you, Brandy. Before we move on, I just want to take another pause really quickly to see if there are any questions. No? Okay. So Brandy, if they're interested in the minor in law through business, what are their next steps?
So the next step would definitely be to contact me with my information there listed. And then there's a declaration of a minor form that you would have to fill out. And we'll schedule an appointment with you to talk over the plans for your next semester.
Excellent, thank you.
Mhm.
So in the winter, we are offering 2 LEX courses. We're offering the law and harm course and the legal procedure course. And in the spring, we're planning on offering the legal procedure course again, and we're hoping that one will be in an online format. We do try to mix it up in regards to whether it's in the seats and online. So to make sure that we are able to reach the masses in regards to what works well in your schedule. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Ryan now, who's going to lead us in the student panel Q&A.
I would like to welcome our 2 student panelists, Jenna and John. Thank you both so much for being here today. Both Jenna and John are current students in our minor in law program through the School of Business. So welcome, thank you for being here. To kick off our question and answer portion, could you both tell us your name again, your year, and your major?
Yeah, no problem. I'll go first. My name is John Mansour. I'm currently in my senior year at Wayne, and I am an accounting major, and I am currently working on all my law school applications.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jenna Schwab. I am a senior at Wayne State, and my major is Honors Marketing Management.
And before I open the floor to questions, could you guys just tell us why you joined the minor in law program through the School of Business?
So for me, I'll go first. Sorry, Jenna.
Okay.
I've always wanted to be a lawyer since I was maybe 8. I could never see myself doing anything else. It's something I've always been interested and passionate about, but I've also developed a love for business along the way. And when I found out about this program, I didn't hesitate. And honestly, it's been super, super beneficial.
Honestly, the same for me. I am definitely interested in doing the MBA JD program. I definitely love marketing a lot, but I also have been really interested in the minor in law program, especially with the law school classes. That has really helped me and my passion for law.
Thank you. Okay, I would like to take this time to open the floor up to any questions that anyone has for Gemma and John.
Even if you want to drop them into the chat, that's fine too. We can go ahead and read the questions out of the chat if you're more comfortable doing it that way. Now's the time to pick their brains.
Any questions that you have, or you were curious about the program, they'll be able to offer their feedback because they've actually gone through and have sat through some of those classes.
Let's see, we have a question here in the chat. So we have a question, when is a good time to declare your minor in law? Brandy, that one actually might be better for you as the academic advisor.
I would definitely say your sophomore year, after you've taken more of your foundation classes, definitely after you've taken BLW 2510.
Yeah, and I would agree with Brandy because the sooner that you declare the minor, the sooner you can start planning for those classes, right? Making sure that they're going to work into your plan of work, and you'll know, when to take them so that you don't get yourself into a situation where you only need one class and it's not being offered type of thing. That was a great question. Anything else? If not, I think Ryan has some more questions to ask our panel.
I sure do. What has been your favorite class thus far and why?
Ooh. So I'm kind
That's
of
a good question.
I'm kind
Go
of
ahead.
sorry again. I really did like law and harm with actually Professor Gable was my professor. We had that class over Zoom because you learn a lot about the differences between the criminal and the civil systems. But, and as crazy as it sounds, because it's probably one of the more boring subjects, but legal procedures, I don't know why, I always found it really interesting to see how the different courts work and how that entire process works with like jury selection, jurisdiction. So it's very important, especially when you're as a lawyer, because you're gonna want to know whether or not what the authorities are, and exactly how each court system works and the rules of each specific system. And it was a lot of hypotheticals just as much as the law and harm with the criminal and the civil. So I enjoyed that very much.
For me, I think I have two favorites for different reasons. Law and harm was a great class to really challenge me in my law mindset because I feel like that one has been the hardest class I've taken. But I also really like law and social context because you learn a lot of different things. But that one with their assignments with Professor Hall, you get to really share your opinion and get analytical feedback about your opinions.
Yeah. What is one thing you think everyone should know about the minor in law program?
I'll go first again. I definitely think the one thing you should know is that it gives you a taste of what law school will be like. I know a few people in law school, and I have discussed about this program, the certain classes I'm taking, and they're like, "Oh no way, that's actually really, really good." You're getting a little bit of like how law school will be like if you want to go out in the future, and especially when it comes to like the on-call stuff. Obviously, the on-call, as Professor Gable explained, it's the teachers will call out your name, ask you some questions, quiz on you. They're not too brutal about it, to be honest. Their main objective is to inform you, not take away points from you or anything like that. So they were pretty cool with that. And it's a new type of learning. And I think if I didn't know that, I would have been really shocked my first class going to law school. Hopefully, like I would not know what that is. I would be a lot more nervous, but it made it easier. And I think it's going to make law school easier.
I can definitely agree with all that. Something I would just say to you guys is just do it. It will apply to anything in business. If you're a business major, it'll apply to anything outside of business. It'll just help you question things in your contracts, your employment contracts. And it's just a great opportunity to get a different level of thinking.
How accessible and approachable are the professors?
Extremely. They're all super great. They're all nice. They all just want to help you and be there for you.
I couldn't agree more. I remember I had trouble, I think the first week or first 2 weeks of law and harm, and I emailed Professor Gable and I got a response, I think the very same day. And they were always there every step of the journey whenever I needed something. Like first, oh, sorry. Lights turned off automatically. Especially when it came time to study for the LSAT, they pointed me in the right direction, and that came really, really helpful. And I can't thank them enough for that.
Have you been able to apply anything you are learning in a classroom to your other classes yet?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? I had trouble hearing that.
Yes. So have you been able to apply anything you are learning in a classroom to your other classes that you're taking?
Oh yeah, definitely. Specifically in the property class, I remember that was a huge area in the business law. Even the legal procedures, a lot of times kids or students will get confused between the whole criminal and civil system. It's kind of a lot to go into it, and that definitely helps straighten it out. So there's a lot of overlap for sure, and I have been able to more than I thought. I've been able to apply my knowledge into the business classes.
Same here, especially in my marketing classes. I've really been able to learn the ins and outs of licensing and approval and contracts, and the law school has really helped me with that.
And has it been difficult to complete the school business minor and law program requirements on top of your academic requirements for your major?
I don't think it's been very difficult as much as any other class. A big difference I would definitely say is that between business school and the minor in law program, there's more reading, but it's not too terrible. And even if the readings are too much, I remember the first 2 weeks, Professor Gable and Professor Cancelosi, they asked everyone, did anyone have trouble with the readings? Was it too much? Was it too little, too complex? Can I get some feedback? So they always look for feedback and ways to improve upon the class if there's any issues going on. So overall, I would say it's too difficult to complete with the other classes.
And
Same here. I don't think it was difficult to complete. The only thing is just making sure you can fit them into your schedule, especially the LEX courses, because they're not offered every semester. So just making those a priority over your other classes.
do you have any suggestions for students looking to possibly minor for the school of business? Do you have any tips or any of your suggestions you feedback for them?
Well, first and foremost, I would definitely suggest doing it. And I'm really happy that one of the first things we discussed was the connections, because that's what most people think of when I think of business connections. I think my entire journey into applying to law school was a lot easier because of this program. And getting to know those teachers really was beneficial. And it definitely influences a choice on what type of law school you want to go to, if it's whether or not it's a good fit for you. So I encourage everyone and suggest to everyone, if you want or thinking about law school, this is definitely the type of program you should look into.
Yeah, I would definitely say just do it. It's a great opportunity. The professors are super nice and super helpful. There's nothing bad I can say about it.
Yeah. Do you have any more questions for Jenna and Ron?
I have a question. So, we've discussed a lot about like how the minor in law can really benefit you if you would like to apply to law school or just go to law school in the future to become a practicing lawyer. But do you find that like a lot of your peers who are also minoring in law do not have wishes to move on to law school and are just using it as a tool for their declared major?
I would definitely say there's a mix of students. Like in all of my classes, there have been people in the business school, outside of the business school, people who want to go to law school and people who don't. It's a great diverse area of students. So you get to meet a lot of different people and get to learn what their desires are for further education.
To reiterate, yeah, there definitely is a good mix of kids who are going to further go into law school and kids who aren't. I think no matter what type of major you are in the business school, having that minor is applicable. And even in general, just your future knowledge, just general knowledge of things, like, oh, like what's a community property? What does that mean? Or like, how does this personal jurisdiction work? What are the elements of theft, conversion, all these different type of crimes? They help just inform your general knowledge. And when you come across things, you're better to able to understand the situation. And that's why I think one of the great benefits about this program is, yeah, you don't necessarily, it's not programmed just because you join it doesn't mean you automatically are going to go to law school. Some of the kids don't, but it makes you a much more well-rounded individual.
Thank you.
Do you have any more questions for Jenna and Ron? Do you have any questions that you would like to put in the chat for me to read out to them?
Okay, well, thank you, John and Jenna, for joining us and sharing about your experience with the minor in law. I hope it was helpful to our prospective students here. I did drop in the chat to let everybody know that we are going to be sending you a copy of the slides probably tomorrow so that you can go back and refer to them and you can access the contact information. As always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Brandy or myself or Ryan or even Professor Gable. We are here to answer questions that you have. And we hope to be seeing you in classes very soon. So thank you for joining us today. Unless there's any other last minute questions, that's the end of our presentation.
And if anyone wants a student perspective of things, I'm more than willing to give it. I'm going to drop my email in the chat below. If you want to email me something separately, I'll be more than happy to answer you guys' questions.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that.
Same here. I can drop mine. I'm also a peer mentor, so I can help you with more than just law stuff.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. The other thing that we will include when we send you a copy of the presentation is for those of you who are interested in going to law school, we do kind of have a tip sheet for you that came from our JD admissions office, wherein they've put together the things that you should be doing in your sophomore, junior, and senior year as you get yourself ready for applying to law school. So you'll find that very beneficial as well. Okay, have a great afternoon, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.